In this video, I will explain how to replace the front wheel bearings on 1996 to 2004 Nissan Pathfinder four-wheel drive sport utility vehicles. These steps are similar for 1998 to 2004 Nissan Frontier four-wheel drive pickup trucks. Step number 1. Park the truck on a flat surface, set the emergency brake, and place blocks in front and behind the rear wheels for safety. 2. Lift the front part of the truck using a hydraulic jack and place jack stands under the frame for safety. 3. Remove the wheel cover by prying it with a small pry bar or a flathead screwdriver as shown in the image. 4. Remove the lug nuts that fasten the front wheels using an impact tool and a 21mm socket and proceed to remove the front wheels. 5. Insert a small pry bar or flathead screwdriver between the disc and the brake pads. Apply outward pressure against the brake pads to compress the caliper piston and make it easier to remove it. 6. Remove the 2 bolts that fasten the caliper bracket using a ratchet or impact tool and a 19mm socket as shown in the image. Slide the brake caliper out and use a hook and hang the brake caliper to avoid it from hanging from the brake hose. 7. If your truck has manual 4x4 hubs, remove the cap using a ratchet and a 6mm hexagonal bit. If the truck doesn't have manual locking hubs, proceed to remove the cover with channel lock pliers as shown in the image. 8. Remove the safety clip with pliers made for that purpose as shown in the image or a small flathead screwdriver. 9. Remove the bearing cover nuts with a ratchet and a 10mm socket as shown in the picture. 10. Remove the cover by prying it with a small pry bar, inserting the tip between the slot where it joins as shown in the image. 11. Next, remove the 2 screws from the security washer using a Phillips screwdriver as shown in the picture. 12. Remove the nut using a specialty socket similar to the one shown in the image, turning the nut counterclockwise. If you don't have access to the socket, you can use a Phillips head screwdriver by inserting the tip into one of the cavities of the nut to rotate it as shown in the image. 13. Remove the brake disc by carefully pulling it out with your hands as shown in the image. Note, the outer bearing will fall to the floor if pulled excessively or too suddenly. 14. Place the disc on 2 pieces of wood, ensuring that the center of the disc is free. Insert a bearing driver that fits perfectly over the inner bearing in such a way that when the tool is hit, the bearing and seal fall freely as shown in the image. 15. Remove the bearing race using a punch and a hammer, tapping on the edge of the race through the small notch in the center of the hub as shown in the picture. Once you have removed the inner race, turn the hub upside down and proceed to remove the outer bearing race. 16. Next, clean the inside of the hub perfectly and proceed to install the new bearing races using a seal and bearing driver. Tap the tool with a hammer until the bearing race seats properly. Repeat the process on both races. 17. Pack the inner bearing with high-temp wheel bearing grease either by hand or using a wheel bearing packer. Once you have packed the bearing with grease, proceed to place it inside the hub in its original position as shown in the image. 18. Install the seal using a large socket that fits over the outer metal edge of the seal. Tap the socket with a hammer till the seal sits all the way. 19. Next, clean the spindle with a towel before installing the hub back on. 20. Install the hub carefully in its original position. Pack the outer bearing with high-temp wheel bearing grease and install it in its original location. 21. Install the bearing nut with the special socket as shown in the image and tighten the nut slowly and simultaneously rotate the disc with the other hand several times in the opposite direction as you tighten the nut so that the bearing sits correctly. Tighten the nut to 60 foot-pounds. Turn the disc again, ensuring it spins freely. Next, loosen the nut slightly and retighten it to 13 foot-pounds. 22. Next, install the lock washer, aligning it in a way that will allow you to install and tighten the retaining screws. If necessary, adjust the nut by tightening it lightly, or by turning the washer so it aligns correctly as shown in the image. Clean the brake rotors using brake cleaner to remove fingerprints or grease. Install the remaining components in the reverse order in which they were removed, ensuring that all the bolts are tightened securely according to the specifications listed in the owner's manual. Install the wheel and partially tighten the lug nuts. Lower the truck to the ground and proceed to tighten the nuts to the specs listed in your owner's manual. Depress the brake pedal slowly a couple of times to allow the brake pads to sit evenly against the brake rotors. Take the truck for a test drive to ensure that everything works correctly. If everything looks good and there are no abnormal noises present, congratulate yourself for having performed a successful repair and for saving money at the same time. Have a wonderful day.